Delighted to be here with the Garden and Gleaning Project, which is a collaboration between several communities, and to introduce the members of our congregation and representatives of those communities. I'm going to invite Reverend Dr. Kristen Leslie, who is our professor of pastoral care and theology at Eden Seminary, to introduce the folks who are with us on the call today.
I'm so pleased to be here with my friends and colleagues and with you. So let me introduce you. Karen Pettmeyer is a third-year student, soon to graduate from Eden. She's the brainchild behind the Eden Garden and Gleaning Project. She's the pastor at Cahokia United Church of Christ, and she's a member in discernment in the Indiana-Kentucky Conference of the UCC. Next, we have the Veeks, Jana and Lonnie Veek, who are members at St. John's UCC in Vincennes, and they are the folks who have opened their farms and opened their hearts to us to do the gleaning and have made the connections, have shared with us their great connections with family and friends there in Vincennes that would have allowed us to do the gleaning. And then there's Mrs. Pat Pendleton, who's the director of the Centennial Christian Church Food Ministry and Pantry here in St. Louis, who runs an amazing program to feed folks who are in great need. And just to be in her presence is exhausting because the level of energy is amazing. And I'm thrilled to work with all of these folks.
And to start us off, Karen, how do you see it as a collaboration between the church and communities?
The Garden and Gleaning Project started about 2 years ago. And I had been working with Dr. Leslie with winter outreach and also some food distribution in the area. And it made me think about the waste of food back at home in Indiana. Then I had lunch with Jana right after leaving school. And we got talking and she said, hey, how about the farmers? And she talked to Lonnie and Lonnie said, oh yes, this can be done. And it quickly bloomed. Our main goal here is the food is kind of it's a third item. It's something everybody needs food, but it's a way of connecting the communities so that, people from Eden go to the farms, meet the farmers and the kids at St. John's that are gleaning and the adults that are gleaning. And then also we get to meet Mrs. Pat and the people that are working with her in her food distribution program. And we get to make those connections as well. And it's been really interesting how those connections have formed and grown. And just this last winter, I got a call from Helping His Hands in Vincennes, which is a place where we drop off produce before we leave Knox County. And they asked if we needed gloves and thermal underwear shirts for winter outreach for the unhoused in St. Louis, because that's another aspect of their ministry. But just connecting those ministries has been a wonderful experience.
I think that's so wonderful. And the biblical phrase from the book of Esther, for such a time as this, working on relationships and connections between people in suburban and urban contexts and people in rural contexts. It's almost our patriotic duty right now, it seems to me, in the United States to really reach out beyond our context and connect with one another. And this seems like a really powerful way for churches and community-based organizations to do that. Ms. Pendleton, if I could ask you, Mrs. Pat, about your ministry at Centennial.
Well, we call our food ministry Hope Food Ministry. Our vision is a lighthouse for all who seek the Lord. And I think what has happened is our vision is coming to fruition. And our church has been that beacon of light for those in the community that hunger. And we've had a food pantry for about 19 years. However, we have been struggling. It has not been where we felt the Lord wanted it to be. And so at the beginning of the pandemic, about 1 year ago, my husband and I were sitting, and my heart was just so sad because of our children. They could not go to school, and in some instances, this was the only meal that they were getting. The only meals that they were getting were from the school, and so it's like we just got to do something. And so I said, well, what we can do is we can serve lunches, we can serve sandwiches. One day I had another brainstorm, and it's like, for what we're paying for sandwiches, we could really do a hot meal. And so then we started doing hot meals. That was the beginning of Lighthouse Lunches. Over the last year, we have served almost 7,800 meals, hot meals. Then we moved from there. It's like, well, you know what? There are a lot of people on the streets who can't get here. And so we created these neighbors keeper boxes. We take the box and we go to where the need is. Then we said, well, you know what? The pantry does every second and fourth Saturday. And our pantry has just been blessed, just in full bloom. And so it's like, well, maybe we'll feed those who come to the pantry. So then we have Oh Taste and See. This lady came with this humongous bag of corn. The Gardening Gleaning Project has, our guests like corn. And so we don't always have the corn, the fresh corn. As a matter of fact, we never had fresh corn. And so Karen has blessed us with corn, pumpkin, squash, potatoes, and the biggest squash that I've ever seen in my life. We can truly say, when I was hungry, you fed me. And so we are growing. My little mind continues to work, and I'm saying, okay, now what else can we do? So people will say to my husband and I, how do you guys keep doing this? Because why would I not? As a church, God continues to bless us to do that. So we are a true lighthouse for all who seek the Lord.
Is such a profound sharing of your ministries. What do you think about this Gleaning Project? I mean, how has it struck you in terms of, I've heard the phrase food waste. You've obviously seen this for a long time. And so what does it mean for it to be activated and made provision for feeding people?
Well, I think I have to say Karen was the one that brought this up. It's always been there, but you have to have somebody to make the spark, come up with the idea. Shannon and I have been raised on the farm, and we kind of knew this, but now I've already talked to one of the farmers today. They're ready.
You have blessed us with the opportunity to give and to be a part of this, where we knew that there were people in need in places, and we knew this was going to waste, but getting that connection is what we really needed. And I think it's just really been a blessing for us and for the farmers there. As you can hear, they're excited about this, and they don't like to see their crops go to waste. It's not, it becomes not feasible for them to hire people to come in that last time and glean that last bit. They lose money on that. But if they can provide that to people, we've never had anyone say no. They've always, well, how can I help? And do you need the tractor? Do you need the wagon? What can we get for you? And what do you need? So it's just really been exciting and a great community project on this end. And then to connect with and to hear Miss Pat talk about, what she's doing there is so exciting and just really provides an energy. But all the people that come from Eden in the community. And when they come here and we have an opportunity to share our different experiences, we have people, you know, coming that have never been on a farm, and then we've never been to some of these urban areas. And so it's been a great way to connect.
To have fresh vegetables is so important to the people in the community. We put the corn out,
Mm.
the zucchini, and what we had to do with some is like prepare some things and then say, this is what it tastes like. This is how you can do it. Other items, vegetable items that people really don't know what to do with, never had it before, then we are going to start preparing a dish and then with that item, and then put it out for them to taste. We're doing additional thought about the educational piece of this. What is it what else can we do to help people survive in the midst of this madness? You know, we're wandering in a wilderness, but we have to wander with a purpose.
Like you said, we're wandering in the wilderness, but you know, we're wandering together and we're finding our way together.
Yes, you know, we're separated physically, but we are together.
Yes.
Doing the work, doing the Lord's work.
Leslie, Kristen, as a practical theologian, as a professor of pastoral theology and care, what does this have you thinking about congregational ministry, partnerships, collaboration?
My favorite theologian is Letty Russell, and she talks about partnering in the mending of creation. And this is such a beautiful partnership of needs and resources on both ends. And the wonderful work of Karen Pettmeyer in listening to both and bringing people together has been just astounding. And at every spot along the way, it's just brought such great joy, which is, as I'm hearing from everybody talking, kind of a constant confirmation that we're doing the right work. You know, one of the things that we early were committed to was to make sure to both to do some educational pieces around food insecurities, about food waste, and about the generosity of communities that may lack one little piece of information in order to know how to connect. I'm mindful that throughout the summer, when we knew that the Veeks were opening up their farms for us to come gleaning, Karen and I would get on the phone and make calls to Mrs. Pat and to several different ministries in St. Louis to see how much food could they take. And that was what determined how much we brought back, because we knew the generosity of the Veeks and others could send as much as we could take. And so we were just limited by our ability to bring it back.
I just want to serve. And so this was an opportunity, and the church has taken advantage of it, and it has just been beautiful, just awesome.